my life, my life.
And good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. I don't think you should say Happy Good Friday, right? It's Good Friday. I don't know what to say. This is Coach Helix. Welcome to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. I am your host, and with me, my amazing co-host,
Stephen Frederick. I think today is Good Friday, isn't it?
Well, that's what I mean. It's Good Friday, but I don't know if you say Happy Good Friday. I guess you don't, right?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, listen, if not, you just
Can
created
somebody
something new.
clarify, what is
You
the
started
proper
something
way?
new.
But it is Good Friday, and for those of you who celebrate Easter, Good Friday to you.
Wonderful.
Right? I don't know what else to say.
That's good. That covers it.
Exactly, that's about covers it. But anyway, Stephen, how are you? What's going on with you?
Oh, I'm excellent.
Yes.
Yes, everything is going my way.
I love that.
Hey, listen, I ran this morning like 4.5 miles in the trails in Cranberry Bog, and it was just wonderful. I love this time of year because, it's beautiful out, even though, it was for most people cool, because this morning here in the Cape, it was like in the high 30s, but it feels good to me. But I love that it's like sunny and warm, and yet it's too early for bugs. So, because I'm in the woods, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't call this cool. It's cold.
No, please.
It is cold. It's still cold, and but it is beautiful. I love this time of year also because the bots are starting to come out. The dogs and the geese and all of your animals are out. And, Paul J. Martin, your friend, said that this is like, what is it, that
Roger Williams
Park and Zoo?
Yeah.
Because we do have all kinds of animals. I love that,
Yes.
by the way. I totally love that. But anyways, I'm excited to have another open forum, Stephen. We decided to do that a few weeks ago, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback. People just like for the two of us to just talk about anything, and so we took it, and that's what we're gonna do.
I love that.
It's an open forum, so anything goes. So, and I was hesitating because I was reading Karen Garman in our feed, and she says, "Happy Friday to all of you too." And I guess you could say Happy Good Friday.
Thank
She
you,
says,
Karen.
You can, Elix. All good. All right. Well, Karen, thank you.
I love Karen.
I just don't want to, say something that then people are going to call me and tell me that I offended them. Because it's not intended to be offensive. I just didn't know. And by the way, ironically, I grew up, you and I both grew up in extremely religious families. My goodness, in Puerto Rico this week, it's like closed for business because it's that religious.
Did you say we?
Well, so did you. Hello, did you not go to Catholic school your whole life?
Yeah, I did, but I don't think I would ever classify the way I grew up as extremely religious. I think my mom was more about, in her head, getting me and my brother the best education, so she put us through, private Catholic schools. But I don't think it was necessarily connected because it was Catholic. It was, growing
But you
up
weren't forced to go to church. I was.
No. My mother didn't even go to church every Sunday. She went through bouts like many people do, that she would go every Sunday, and then there were times, many times that she never did, and I stopped doing that. No, that was just, certainly my preference, but no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say. I'm like, a really religious family. Am I new to this relationship after 32 years?
Listen, you're part of my family, and you already know, how they rock and roll. So that's where the we comes from, I guess.
Well, you have a nun in the family. Yes, your family is. Your aunts go to church every day. That is religious.
Multiple times. My aunt, who is a nun, she goes to church at least twice a day. But we love them, and
We
again,
do.
I don't have any issues with that whatsoever. And just for clarification purposes, Stephen, just the fact that we don't practice religion doesn't mean that we're not extremely spiritual, and we do believe in God and the higher power. So, I mean, how would you describe our situation?
Exactly the way you just described it. I mean, spiritual and religious are two completely separate things. And neither one of us are religious.
But we believe in God, though. We do
Yes,
believe
but
in God.
well, I didn't even get there. See, you asked me, and then you just cut me off. Like,
Okay, I'm sorry. Whoops.
oh
Go ahead.
man. So yes, very spiritual, and yeah, I mean, we obviously both of us do. Every day when I meditate, where I start from is for me anyway, from God, and just go down and thanking Him and giving me this life. So
Yes, and for me, Stephen, I also, and a lot of this, to be honest with you, I think I've learned this from you. Since you became a medium, I've learned that you carry God in your heart, so you don't have to go to any place to find God. He's always with us in our heart. So, and that's
well,
what really
we're
what
all
matters.
one. We're all God, right?
Exactly, and that's what matters to me. So, and if somebody wants or feels that they need to go to church, that's okay too. I don't have any objections to that. So,
Well, I mean, it's like we shouldn't anyway. I mean, our objections don't mean anything to anybody. If they want to go, they go, right?
well, Stephen the medium has spoken.
That's right. That's right.
But listen. So let's talk about what's going on. We did an awesome event yesterday.
Yes.
Kudos, a shout out to Julie. She's the Julie. What is her last
Wade.
name, Stephen?
Wade.
She's the director of the Cape Cod
Come on, you can do this.
Art. Stephen.
The
just
Art
help me.
Foundation of Cape Cod.
The Art Foundation of. I didn't want to screw it up. The Art Foundation of Cape Cod.
You were
and
close. You were very close.
They're doing a fundraiser in June. And you're gonna be part of that fundraiser because your private reading for up to 10 people is one of the auction items, and but we went to the unveiling of the artist of the year for the foundation, and it was a fabulous event.
Yes, Joe Diggs.
Joe Diggs. I mean, he was fascinating. I was actually quite inspired by his story, and clearly his work. It's also pretty amazing. I envision one of his pieces of art in our home someday.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really great not just to be there and to see the unveiling, and they had wine and appetizers, and like we talked about, Julie Wake has become a really good friend of ours, and so it was really nice to be there and get to meet other people. But hearing his story was, I thought, pretty amazing. We that they did the unveiling in the theater, and the conversation with him was just pretty amazing about how he sort of, and you asked the question about his purpose, and how he figured out his purpose, which I think that's just fascinating for everybody, because I think so many people don't find their purpose.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the first. That was such a automatic question for me, because I could tell that everything he does came from like the heart.
Yeah.
So I was just really curious as to at what point in his life he realized that his purpose was to be an artist.
Yeah.
And ironically, his answer was he always knew.
Yeah.
Even when he wasn't being an artist, he always knew. And I think that was my takeaway, Stephen, that even when we're not doing what we know we're called to do, we know what we're called to do, I think. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I don't know. I don't think I follow that exact philosophy, I mean, I think everyone's here. I know everyone's here has a meaning, but I don't think everybody knows, because I think there's just, based on my experience, like not knowing I was a medium. I mean, I didn't know that at all. I went for
Well,
years
I
and
guess
years and
that's
years,
true,
right?
right?
And didn't
Yeah.
know I had any of these abilities to be able to see dead people, talk to dead people, have conversations, because there was so much junk in between me and my purpose, which was really your soul. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
but I would argue, Stephen, though, that the being a medium was the that, like, it's a different kind of, like, I don't know, I'm gonna call it profession for now, but what you do, when you're a medium, your purpose is to make a difference, right?
right.
To have people see something that, find peace or or light or guidance, and you just want to make a difference. And I would argue that you were doing that with the juveniles in court,
And
as an attorney.
exactly, sort of differently, but then I
Yes.
would also argue, though, that was sort of a portion of what I was doing, but my purpose here, which I know now, is the mediumship piece. That's my passion, my purpose. That is why my soul is here. I just needed this personality, the Stephen personality, to figure it out. So, and now that I know, I am just not only grateful, but just every day so happy that, oh my God, like, this isn't work. I had to do like a whisper in a note today. And if you're wondering what that is, just go on my website, Stephen the Medium, and you can look it up. And I love doing them because they're notes from your loved ones in spirit, and I get to do a recording, and the software is so cool. But I was just thinking, as I was sitting down, I'm preparing, and I'm like, I'm about to meditate, and then this woman requested a note from a whisper from her grandmother, and I'm thinking, I'm going to sit at my desk right now. I'm going to meditate, even though I did meditate outside after I ran in the woods. And then after my meditation, I am going to, like, sort of look to the right of me and say to the woman that ordered the whisper in a note, her grandmother, like, and I literally do this. I physically hold my arm out, my hand, and said, "Grandma, let's go." And I can feel her hand in my hand. She stands next to me and she starts dictating to me what she wants me to write in the note for her granddaughter. And I'm like, I get to like that, and I'm getting paid for that. It's when you get to this place, Helix, and I know you're there too. It's just wow.
Yeah, exactly. In a different kind of way. But I do feel, just like you, that what I do every day is purpose driven. And yes, I work a lot. And yes, sometimes I get super stressed about everything that I got to do. And I also say to myself, I can't believe this is work, because I'm doing something I just absolutely love to do. And I'm also tapping into making a difference for others in a different kind of way.
A
So,
huge difference, Helix. Yes.
well, you know what will make a difference right now is taking a small commercial break. So, before our producer makes a difference with both of you and me. So let's take a small break, and we'll be back, and we're going to have an open forum, real talk, real life. If you want to send questions, for those of you who are listening through the live portion of the stream, the live stream, excuse me, do so, and we'll be right back.
Or call.
Or call, that's right. And hello, everyone. Welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. I'm your host, Coach Helix, and with me, my amazing co-host,
Stephen the Medium.
Stephen the Medium, is in the house. And today, once again, we are doing an open forum, real talk, real life, about anything that you want to talk about. And I want to also, Stephen, I gave Karen Garman on the live stream a shout out, but she did make a comment about, practicing to be godlike, kindness and love, kindness and love, whether you go to church or not. So, which is very consistent to what we just said.
I love that. That's definitely, I think in the bigger picture, like the higher consciousness, I think that's where our goal really is to get to, is whatever we do, always looking at the bigger picture and what we can do for others.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Stephen, it is an open forum. Is there anything specifically that you think you want to talk about today?
Well, you know what? Before we came on, I asked you that, and you talked about choices, right?
Yes, I because again, I asked myself the same question, and I thought to myself, we live in a world that is constantly demanding attention, energy, and we often live our lives, Stephen, like as if we don't get to choose what it is that we do. The thoughts that we feed, the boundaries that we set, the relationships that we nurture or not, and ultimately the version of ourselves that we choose to show up as. And those are choices. So I figure, that's sort of a good conversation to have as well.
I love it. And when you said it, I thought to myself, I can't believe Helix said choices, because something happened that I want to just share with everybody and you when I was running today.
So this is new to me. You have not shared this with me.
No. So we're talking about choices. So in a very brief nutshell, if you don't know my life, in 8 years old, my dad, took his life. And from 8 and for many, many years after that, I was just a very extremely angry person, hated myself, thought many, many times I just want out of this life. And it just was externally, or rather overtly, if you looked at me, you would think this guy's got it all together. And covertly or internally, I was the absolute opposite of that. I mean, just completely opposite. But I had a very good knack of not letting people see that. But because when you're in that place, I was always, I'll get you before you get me. So that was just my version. I was just just very angry and snapping. And, Helix knows this, being with me for many, many years. I realized after I became a medium and left lawyering, the connection to every single thing that we do, all the choices, as Helix just said or mentioned. Today, I go out. Helix is at CrossFit. He's working out. So I leave, and we have 28 acres of conservation land in Pat's and in Cranberry Bog in the back of our house. In our yard, it's like the walking path. And I'm just in heaven because I love running. So I take off this morning and I'm running. Now, I never see anybody, usually. So I am doing my normal, went through the trails. I'm on the Cranberry Bog to add more miles, and I see a woman in front of me with two yellow labs or golden retrievers. I honestly can't remember now. In any case, but her back's to me and she's walking and the dogs are going forward. So as I'm approaching her, she's still not turning to me. So I don't want to scare her. So I said, incoming. And of course, what do? I scare her. She jumps, really jumps, and her face just turns almost scared. And she looks, I'm like, I'm sorry. I said that because I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to scare you. And so she then just sort of softened a little bit, and I kept running by the dogs. And I was just thinking as I'm running that if this was a number of years ago, and I'm not talking that many years ago, but a number of years ago, my initial reaction what are you doing here? Like I'm running and I want to be by myself. You got to bring these dogs out. And my brain was in a completely different place. Choices I would make, right? The choices of like this woman somehow is doing it personally to me to be there. And now, oh my God, now I got to alter my run because I'm not going by her again. And that really absolutely would have been a couple of years ago. So I keep running. And also I left her and I'm like, yeah, she looked like she had like this crappy face on her. I mean, I wouldn't take into any consideration that I just like made this woman jump. She was so scared because she didn't know I was behind her. But in my head, she's also not, she's probably not a nice person. All choices, all just made up in my head. And then I'm preparing in my head, like, if I happen to see her again, sort of preparing like, what am I going to say, because I know she's going to be pissy or something like that. In any case, so I run by and for a split second, I'm doing my run and for a split second, I'm circling back and I see that she's doing the big loop. But of course, I'm catching up to her because I'm running and she's walking. So for the split second, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to alter my route so I don't go back by her again. And thank God it was a split second. I didn't make that choice and thought, this is absurd. This is my route. I want to get all my miles in. This woman's probably a really nice woman. I just scared her. That choice I made. I ran by her, and as I was coming up to her, I ran by her twice. This was the second time. She looked at me, and I'm like, sorry again. And I kept going. I was like, have a good day. And she said, you are really motivating me, and I'm still running, and I'm turning and looking at her. She said, to get back to exercising, you definitely an inspiration for me this morning. Have a great day. And I kept running, and I like I am now, I got emotional thinking, that's what this is all about. The choices is, I just can't reiterate to people that everything is connected because we're energy, right? So every choice you make, and Elix, I know you're an expert on this, creates the next choice and the next choice. And if you go down that negative choice route, that's what you're going to get. There's no options. It's the negative road. And you're going to keep getting negativity. You're going to start running into people that had bad days, and they're going to just, your energy is going to pull them right to you. Say, let me plop them right in front of you because they're just in a very nasty mood. Even though they're probably nice people, something just happened to them versus the other way. If I, for that split second, altered my route, I would have ended up finishing my run with the feeling of, hope this woman, I don't see her again. Why is she here? And it would have left just a negative aura around me versus I didn't change. I ran by her again with the notion of, this is a woman, she's got two dogs and she's taking them for a walk, and I love that. And look what happened. You are inspiring me. Today, you are my inspiration. That's the exact word she said to me.
Wow. And when you say that I'm an expert in the subject matter, what I am an expert is in really understanding the connection between that choice and our own neurochemistry, because our brains, Stephen, I talk about this often, are wired for both reactivity and regulation. So when you choose to pause, which you did, reflect, which you did, and respond to that pause and reflection, which you did, our brain goes from to trust rather than fear, which is a really powerful way to change an outcome. You get what I'm saying?
I completely get it, because when I left there thinking, I hope I see this woman again, not because this was ego-based and saying that she gave me a compliment, was just that I hope I see her again so I maybe get to talk to her or get to meet her dogs, versus the complete, complete opposite if I alter that route, leaving and saying, dear God, I hope I never see this woman again. I mean, it was front and center with me, and it was just pretty incredible.
Wow, I love that. And, it makes me think, Stephen, how often do we come to situations like that. And it doesn't, in your case, you just happen to be running and that woman happened to be in your space, but you could be in the market and you could say good morning to someone and they ignore you. And that alone could lead to, oh my God, what, they're not nice people, or even ruin your experience at the market, versus doing exactly what you did, which is pause, reflect, and then choose how it is that you're going to respond. Because I think ultimately, when we talk about choice, that is our choice. You
Yeah.
you could have chosen to respond in that all negative way, but you didn't. You actually chose to alter how you responded, and that led to that amazing outcome. That's awesome. That's wonderful, Stephen. And I'm sure our listeners are walking away saying, "Wow, I too can do that," because they can.
That's the best thing, is that anybody can. And what you just explained was the majority of my life. If, when I, like, if it's bad weather and I'm running, not in the back, but on the canal, if I, and you know this, Helix, if I run by somebody and I'm, I'm always friendly and say hi or good morning and I get nothing, well, that's it. They're labeled, right? They're labeled
Yeah.
like they're mean people. And, I would come up with some kind of label for them. And when I would see them again, I would deliberately completely turn the opposite way. So there was not even an option to say hi. Instead of just saying, hey, I said hi, that's all that matters, and letting it go. And it doesn't really matter the next time I see them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But what will matter right now, Stephen, is that we do need to take another commercial break. So let's do that. And if you're listening and you want to be part of this conversation, please be part of the conversation. You can call us at 508 222 1320, and we will be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. I'm your host, Coach Helix, and with me, my amazing co-host,
Stephen Frederick.
Stephen Frederick. And today we have another open forum, not any specific subject. We just decided to have a real talk about real life, but we're talking about the power of choice and the fact that no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the situation, we all get to make a choice. However, whatever version of ourselves we choose happens to be our choice. And Stephen, I love the story that you share with us. And as I was listening to that story, a couple of things came to mind. When you showed up, and we could say that choice that you made was to show up as that best version of yourself, right?
Right.
When you experienced going by her again and she said you inspire her, what qualities did you feel present in that moment for you?
So I was surprised, definitely very, very surprised that came out of her mouth. I was grateful. I was happy. I felt hope, or I don't know how to explain this. I confirmed the hope that I've been feeling that, little by little over the years, I want to change, and this is an example of changing, and that it's working, and I'm doing something right. And I'll tell you, I also noticed that after I went by, I felt just a sense of more energy because I realized that I noticed my pace was faster, like almost like I got a pat on the back, and I was going quicker than I normally go. So there was a lot. It was definitely a lot. And of course, the confirmation of I kept hearing and feeling that it's so important for us to know that every single thing we do is connected. There's no way it can't be. So every single thing, every choice, I dislike I teach Akashic records. It's just it's the place where all our when we're in this physical world, every thought and movement and behavior is all sort of recorded in these records. And so it was just one of those things that I kept feeling like, God, my record since I've been born till now is so different. It's like 180-degree change.
Yeah. And it also validates that we're constantly growing and evolving. Like we're not stuck. I mean, you could choose not to grow to the extent that you're capable of, but I think as human beings we're constantly let me reframe that. We're constantly being given the choice to grow and expand.
Yes.
So I was doing. I have not a similar story, but I do have a story that I wanted to share. So I did a virtual training today for one of my clients. There were about 25 people in the training, and it's a virtual training. It's a series of courses. So there's videos, there's a slide deck, and I have to go back and forth. And Stephen, in between, after showing one of the videos, I couldn't get back to the slide deck. So I had to stop the share, go back to the deck, and I have like 25 people staring at me. And in the past, that would have been enough to like frazzle me because, of course, the conversation, oh my God, they're looking at me. Oh my God, they probably think I don't know what I'm doing. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that would have derailed me for the entire presentation. But this time, Stephen, I just took a deep breath and I just said to myself, it's okay. I'm going to get back to the deck, no problem. And, yeah, there were like a minute maybe, if that, that went by. But I didn't allow, I made a different choice this time. That's my point. I made a different choice. And when I think about the qualities that showed up in that moment for me, I felt proud. I felt at ease. I felt relieved. And I felt a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction in that moment. But that was also clear for me. It was a choice that I made, because I could have chosen to just get myself all frustrated, which would have taken me off my game and would have taken even more time to get myself regrounded. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, Stephen.
Yeah, I mean, of course it does. It's actually, choices and thoughts are like what we talked about last week are also so connected, right? I mean, because the choice comes from the thought that pops up, and you choose whether you're going to jump in that thought bubble or stay out of it. And staying out of it is the present, right? It's what you did with that training, and maybe because obviously it is because I'm a medium, but when you just described that, Elix, when you decided not to become frantic and just sort of focused and just stayed composed, what really happens is your loved ones in spirit that are always helping, because they are even in the physical stuff, they have an open channel now because you didn't go into that bubble. So it's easier for them to help you or to drop things in your brain to get you to pull back to that screen you wanted to get to, versus once you become chaotic, forget about it. Spirit, the connection is just completely, lost, if you will, temporarily. And it's so much easy. It's so much harder to get back on track.
Yeah. Now, Stephen, let me ask you a question, because I imagine that our listeners would want to know what helps you choose that version of yourself, to make that choice, that choice that it's going to empower you more consistently. Like what when we find ourselves in that crossroads, like what is a practice that can help us make that better choice for ourselves?
Well, I mean, that's a really great question. And I think for people like myself that had lived a particular way for so long, that is not an easy thing to get out of. And I would think that, I know you and I have talked about this before, Elix, is that if you're starting the process and you're sort of taking inventory of where you are right now and where you want to be a better person, for everything to be better, I think before you start the process, you just have to sort of sit with yourself and like almost hug yourself and just, you and I love the word grace, and give yourself grace, that understanding that this is not going to be easy, and it's okay that it's not going to be easy, and that when you falter or you fall back to what you're trying to get away from, it's almost like you just think of yourself as like if I was using me, like the 8-year-old Stephen, like if I was 8 years old, and just think that whole grace experience is just me hugging the 8-year-old, saying, it's okay. Like, it's okay, honey, to fall, to falter, that doesn't make you who you are. It just means it's a trip, and you just get back up and you do better and you keep going and going and going. I think that's probably, I wouldn't jump to anything else. You asked me the question of like, what would be the sort of like the key thing? And I think that would be it, because if you try to move forward like I did, and this is coming from experience, and then I started, I was in therapy, and I was, and I've talked about this before. I was trying to change, and those times, and it's inevitably going to happen that you fall back. I was like destroying myself. I was looking at the 8-year-old boy saying, what's wrong with you? I mean, you're 8. You should know better. You should be doing better. And it was the opposite. I mean, it was the opposite of what should have been happening with the grace. I was doing the wrong thing, and it was resisting, and it made where I wanted to go so much harder. And if someone said to me, Stephen, you're starting this journey, and they said exactly what I just said to you and the audience, I would be like, oh, like, thank you. Like, it sounds good, but I know I get the feeling that when it happens and I need to use it, it's going to be incredibly useful for me to just to be able to forgive myself, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
makes perfect sense. You know what, Stephen? Let's do this because I was going to expand on that and ask a follow up question, but it is time. We could go on to our last break for the hour. So let's do a commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna continue this open forum conversation, and we're talking about choosing powerfully, the power of choice. We'll be right back.
Jenny Lane.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. I'm your host, Coach Helix, and with me, my amazing co-host,
Stephen.
Stephen the Medium, is in the house. And today we are having yet another open forum conversation, real talk, real life. And we are talking about the power of choice or choosing. And Stephen, as a follow up to what you said, I agree. I think we embracing our humanness is really important. Learning how to give ourselves grace is also really important because with our humanness are going to come left turns, mistakes. And I think it's important to avoid that perception that we need to be perfect, because that doesn't exist. And this is an opportunity to practice, master the ability to know when it is that you're not making the choice that you wanted to make, and learn how to correct in real time. Because I think that's really the golden opportunity that we all have. And with that said, Stephen, I was going to ask you, what are some ways that we could build habits or practices that can support us in showing up intentionally, even when we experience stress or challenges?
That's a really nice, another great question.
I'm full of great questions today,
I guess so.
Stephen.
I guess so. You know what? I would say that sort of along the lines of giving yourself grace and starting there. I think looking internally, but really getting to know yourself. I think, again, you're asking the questions, and I think that it's sort of like, and you love this because this is one of your words. It's to get there, or to answer the question, you have to lay down the foundation, right? The solid foundation. I learned that from you. And I think first and foremost, too, part of like giving yourself grace is also just becoming best friends with yourself, like loving yourself, knowing that, getting to a place that you can spend the day out by yourself and being very happy and just loving being with yourself. And, when I did this, and I remember I would start, periodically, if I remember, I do this, I would start in the morning, like either before or after brushing my teeth. I would just in the mirror, say hi to me, or you look good. Or I used to say, even with bedhead, you look good. Like it was just being like getting into that place of like, this is what we got, right? This is it. This is the body that we came with, that outer shell is what we have. And even though for me, and I think for everyone to know, it's really just so much more about the internal part of you, but you have to take into consideration the external part, because that's what you look at, right? And that's what you see. And for years I looked at myself, and I used to go through, you're cute, but I hate you. Yeah. You're a miserable person. I mean, it just would go on and on and on. And I mean, I didn't literally do that because, that wasn't the way it was. But in any case, I think just getting to really love yourself authentically, and knowing who you are with all your mistakes and the pimple on your face and your limp and whatever else. Because I'll tell you one thing, when we get up into spirit, none of that matters. As a matter of fact, I told the story that, when spirit, people that lived here that are now dead, when they look at, just pick anybody, and talking about, I can't wear this, I'm too fat, I have a pimple on my face, they laugh. Like not in a mean way, because there's no meanness in spirit, but they laugh to almost to the extent of, yeah, that's funny that they think that really matters.
Right. The things that we're concerned about.
Yeah.
Are meaningless in spirit. Now, Stephen, and I think some of what you said, if not all, answers this question. This is from Sandy Lugo on the live stream. She says, does the influence of others change or impact our choices? I would say it could. Yeah, right?
Yeah, I was going to say another amazing. Sandy must have be your partner, because that's another amazing question. Yeah, but the thing is once you understand that it's okay to be influenced by somebody, depending, like you just said, Elix, on the circumstances. Like if you're there to sort of, you see someone that needs help, they're sort of influencing you to either maybe like be late for something to help them or so. which is beautiful, and I love that. But then the other side of that is, if your desire for many years was to be a nurse, and your mom or dad or friends are saying, look how old, like your age, this is gonna be really difficult and too hard.
Right.
That's the influence that you want to say, all right, thank you, goes in one ear and out the other, and you put it in a particular, I call it a slide, so it doesn't stay with you. It slides right off, and then it's gone, and then you focus right back to what you want to do or where you want to go.
And I think that for me, anyways, it goes back to what you talked about. If our foundation, I call that our foundational integrity is whole and complete. In other words, if you really know who you are, if you really know, what you're here to do, what calls to you, what are your core values, and you're guided by that, then that influence from others, it's not going to have the same power on you. In particular, when you're talking about the influence that can lead, the negative influence that can lead to perhaps a negative choice.
You know what? I agree, Alex. And honestly, just as I'm listening to you, if I had to pick like the 5 things that I hear Spirit say, people that have lived this life again, that are now in spirit, when I do readings or when I'm meditating, one of them would absolutely be, and they have said this to me. I had a father come, standing next to me as I'm doing a reading, and at some point, I don't remember if it was before the reading started or after. I think it was after. He was with me, and I always thank Spirit for coming. And I think it was after that he just looked at me and said, why did I worry or listen to others' opinions, perceptions of me, as opposed to just doing me, which would have changed so much of my life and so much of the people that mean something to me and I love. That guy looked right at me and said that, and that's not uncommon, because so many of us, that's what we do, right? Everything is sort of, there's you don't want to admit it, but there's always some element that, I need to get a new car, I need to do this, I need to do that. It's not necessarily about that you like it, and you may, but so much of this is what other people think.
Well, the influence of others. That's
Yes.
really, social media is all about, influence of others, whether we want to influence them or they influence us. Stephen, Karen Garman wrote a comment here, which is aligns with what your feel. She says, my dad in spirit leaves me coins on the ground. So if I'm in a pissy mood, impatient, I can't pick the coin up till I change my mindset, because the fact those in spirit left me a coin with such love, and my knowing makes me immediately flip the switch to being grateful and appreciative for them and being present in the moment. That's a practice right there.
I got chills. I listen again. I'm not surprised that came from Karen at all, because she's so incredibly connected. Clearly, I love that. I've never heard anybody say it that way. So Karen, thank you. Going to help so many people of, seeing a sign and having that sign pull you out of something that Spirit wants you out of, and just to be grateful and happy. And I love that, Karen. Thank you.
Yeah, I love it, love it, love it. So listen, Stephen, we are at the top of the hour, so we only have a few. I know, time flies. When we engage in these conversations, it's like we start, and then before we know it, it's like, bam, gone. But anyways, I want to give our listeners opportunity to tell where you're going to be. What are you doing? I know next Friday it's going to be Through the Static. So tune in next Friday, same time,
Yay.
same dial, 1320 AM, WARA, WARA. Stephen is going to be leading his show Through the Static. But what are you up to?
I'm always up to a lot. And the best way to know what I'm up to is to go to my website, stephenthemedium.com. That tells you exactly where I am. But there's a lot of things that I'm up to. I was talking to you, Elix, about doing, which I haven't done in a long time, just a big, venue public event. So that is something that I'm very particular about and where I want to go. And so I'm in the process of doing that, and just so much going on with both of us. But Stephen the Medium on social media, my website, you can find everything on it. I'm so excited. Next week I get to do Through the Static and do readings for people.
And stay tuned, because Stephen and I are planning a comeback to our weekly show. This time we're going to do it through YouTube, but you can watch us on any of the platforms. So more details to come, but stay tuned, right?
Well, let me just say, they get the sneak preview because it's a week from Sunday at 7 p.m.
A week from Sunday, 7 p.m. So there you go. So, and stay here, because next is our producer, Mark's Jukebox. And he's got a wonderful show with wonderful guests, I hear, today. So
yes,
stay tuned for that. Other than that, if you don't follow me, make sure you follow me at Coach Helix on any of the social media platforms. If you're listening to today's show and you say, oh my goodness, I love to listen to more of those shows, you can find all of our shows. They're recorded and put into a podcast and available at any of the outlets where you get podcasts, Spotify, Apple, you name it. So look me up, Coach Helix. Get a grip with Coach Helix, that is, and enjoy. We have over 100 episodes recorded. That said, happy Good Friday. And I don't even know.
We guys start with it, we end with it.
I know it. But Easter Sunday, it's Sunday, so happy Easter Sunday. And we'll see you again next Friday with Steven's show. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.